Hey up everybody and welcome back. Alright, nothing happening here except it's snowing, but it's still wet enough, and I think it's about 34 degrees out there, which is what, 1 degree centigrade. So as I say, the ground's a bit wet, so it's not really laying, but it is snowing, so it looks as if we're about set to get into winter real. Alright, so we will set on with this. Now then, I made a little tool, which I'll show you in a minute. So the first thing we're going to do is a little lubrication system experiment. Alright, then we're going to put all the primary drive, put the clutch and everything on, put the electronic ignition on, get all that set up. As you know, I stole a couple of parts off the other round barrel one. It just struck me, the outer cover is on that engine, so I'm assuming, and I'm hoping you can see where I'm pointing, I'm assuming that threaded pin, more or less, which the end of the kickstart spring goes on, will be there. Because on these engines it's 1/4 inch BSF like the case screws. On the new engines, it's the newer engine, the square barrel one, it is 1/4 UNC. So if not, I was actually going to make one. I was just going to get some 5/16 hex and turn it up, which I might do in time for that one, because I went on to BSC unit singles and put the part number in, and that was something else I was looking at, so belay that. Alright, I've already put some oil in the oil tank, and I just had a look, and the feed tube it's gravitated down and filled that, so we should be through to the pump. So let me show you my new tool. So I was gathering the stuff. Oh, hang on, there's a washer on the floor. I was gathering stuff together for all of this, and well, two things. That thing I was just starting to tell you about, I realised I've got to look at the old video to see if these were on. I realised I didn't have the mounts for the alternator, and of course these are BSF threads. 5/16 BSF in this case. So I'd looked on BSA unit singles with the part number, and it had them there, but I noticed they were the type where this section here is a hex, and on these it's just ordinary, and I've got them somewhere. There are spacing pieces that go on. I'm wondering, does that fit? I noticed, so these I took off the other round barrel, because luckily the clutch and everything was off. See that? Yeah, that's the right size to go on there. Good. So anyway, I stole those off the other B44. Right, so anyway, while I was getting the things together, I suddenly thought to myself, wait a minute. I have got everything on the other side for the oil pump and what have you. And I had thought in the past about some way to spin the engine, but of course the thing is, if I put a socket on the nut and used something, it would be nice if this was a left-handed thread, but it's not. It's an ordinary right-handed one, so it would just screw off. And then I thought, but wait a minute, I don't have the sprocket on here, and of course I'm putting a new small one on, so I have the old one. So I thought to myself, what if I welded a deep well socket on there, put that on there, and spin the engine. So what I'm going to spin it with is this, which you haven't seen because I never use it. You know, it's an air ratchet. I bought it when I was sort of getting stuff for the workshop, and it is so incredibly noisy I never use it. But it will spin the engine over a lot better than me kicking and kicking and kicking. So we're going to try that first, and then I'll make sure I've got all the bits for this side. And actually I've got to take the chain off to get at this sprocket to tighten it up. I forgot about that. It's so close. You actually have to, I've done it a little bit, you've got to grind off the points, the 6 points, otherwise it catches. And I'm pretty sure you can't get the lock washer on either. So what I'm going to do is take that off, clean it up, and I'll Loctite it on. Because it's got, you know, it's got this little thing behind it. It can't really come off. It could work loose, but it can't come off. Alright, so let me get set up here. Right, so I've moved you around here so you can see the return and the rocker feed, which is the important one we're looking at. Okay, and tell you what I'm going to do. No, we'll be alright. Okay, now I'm going to be around the other side, so I'm not really going to be able to watch this. I put the earplugs in, so turn the volume down. Right. Alright, the compressor's going to come on as well. I can see oil in the lower part of the tube. Let me just run it for a bit with you switched off, and then I'll bring you back on when I've got it up here and when the compressor's not on. Right, oil's all the way up here. I'll put that bit of white paper behind because, you know, it's only going to be like a golden yellow colour clean oil. So again, turn your volume down. Here goes. Now I can't see it at all. Coming up, but it's not coming up very quickly. Maybe I haven't got enough back pressure. Oh, bugger. Let me press on, see if I can get it right up to the rockers. It is coming into the tank though, so yeah, I might not have enough back pressure. Right, so we're going to try and get clever with the T-piece. So there's that one, and I've drilled that at an angle. And then turned up small piece again, and I have annealed it. I've got a bend in it because if it had been sticking out here, you know, the tube would have come out. So I think we'll be all right like this. So fingers crossed. Let's see if I can weld it. Well, almost a perfect job. I was feeling really good about that. And then I got round to this side, look, and my hand stopped moving and I held a blooming arc there too long. Saved it, it doesn't leak, so let's go and try that. Alright, so there's the T-piece in down there. Of course I don't have any more of this 3/16, and that's now not long enough to reach up there, because of course I cut about that much off it. So I'll have to order some more tonight. That might be here tomorrow. Alright, let me zoom you in. Hold on. I pumped it round a little bit, but Let's see how quickly it goes up there. Right, volume down. Oh God, I can't see a bloody thing now. Can I reach underneath there and do that? Maybe. Alright, that'll do. We'll just put a little cap on that. Okay, alright, that's enough for today. I only came out this afternoon actually, I was out this morning. Good morning. Alright, you can hear the heater running because it was 20 some degrees this morning as I walked down, so a few degrees below freezing. Alright. You may remember yesterday when we did this, I couldn't really see from the other side. Well, I was putting the video in the computer last night and I watched this and that pumped out of there fine. You know, I wasn't spinning the engine that fast, and when I kick it over it sort of goes like that. So this is fine, but it's ugly. I don't like it. So I've got all new tube coming, 3/16 quarter, 5/16 today. So when they come, I'm going to go back to the way it was because I'm sure that will work fine. And if it doesn't, if when the engine's running I look and I'm not happy, it's only a few minutes job to whip these off and put that sort of Y piece back in. Alright, so let's get round to primary transmission. Alright, guess what? We're taking another step back. Got all my stuff laid out here. I can't find the, 6 screws that go in there. And I don't have any of the gaskets. I wasn't worried about the gasket because it's not a problem. I was just going to use a thick layer of gasket to seal it. But I don't know if I've got a little tray somewhere that I can't find. But I don't have them, and I don't have an engine that's sort of stripped this side, so it would mean taking the alternator just too much. I'd rather we'll work on the petrol tank and I'll just order some gaskets and some of those screws. I'll get them from Peter quick because he can do UPS and it'll come like the next day, so it won't be a huge delay. In fact, actually the last thing came pretty quickly just by the post. Also, I've got to make at least one more of these spacers. Funnily enough, this is normally riveted on here. I picked it up and it just fell off, so I've put a drop of weld in. So that goes on there like thusly. So I have another spacer that's missing, probably in the tray with that, because I took these spacers off the other B44. So I've got to make a spacer for there, and then we're in business with that. Okay, so let me make a spacer up. Let me get that kickstart stop thing for the other side. Take that out of the other engine because that's easy to get at. And that side's ready to go. I'll take this chain off, do that nut, see if I can fit. See, you can hear it actually catching on there. See if I can fit a lock washer on there. I seem to remember I don't normally bother. I put Loctite on. But anyway, I'll do these little bits which are going to be sort of off camera, and I'll show you them done, and then we're going to play around wheeling. Right, Well, that's on with some Loctite tightened up, because as I say, I've had to grind a little bit off there for it to clear the chain, but there's plenty of flat, so they're still tightened up nicely. So that's tightened up, Loctited on. There's the extra little spacer. So now they're all sticking out. Hang on. What have I done with it? Taking that one off, look. Hey lad. It's got to be here somewhere. But if not, I can make another one. You wouldn't believe that, would you? I must have taken off some. Anyway, the next thing I found was that when I put this on here, I don't know if these cases are slightly different. I've taken off as much here as I normally do for the small sprocket, but the lip will barely, of the oil seal, will barely touch on this. Now fortunately, between the inner race and the sort of brass cage part there's about 70 thou. I think it's like 74 thou. So what I've done is I've made another one of those, only this one I've recessed the back 70 thou, so it'll fit on a little bit deeper and give me more for the lip to run on. Alright, so let me put that oil seal in there, and then that's done. Find that. And it just struck me, if I've got to order these screws, I might as well order that kickstart stop thing as well. So let me do these little bits. Fun, innit? There's the oil seal in, the new piece in. When we get everything done, I'll put a straight edge across the clutch, and that will make sure we're right. But I made that to exactly the same dimensions. Found that, it's just over the other side. And just had a delivery, so all my tubes come, all my hose. So let me go and put the oil tank back the way it was. As I say, I am pretty sure it's going to work. In fact, I'm certain. Right, there's all that back together again. I'm sure that's going to work. You know, as I say, I didn't realise it was going up like that, and of course by the time I'd walk around here, with it being so close to this, it had run back down. So I'm quite happy about that, because I was spinning over what, 100 RPM, if that. So when this thing is just idling at 1000, it's going to be pumping a lot more pressure. It'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. Don't you worry about it. Alright, what else? It's just struck me, I've got that to put in there. Hang on. I know I've got some of them. I've just seen, oh, there they are. Oil seal points, Triumph BSA single cylinder. So that, I'm getting me a little red light on the battery. It's probably a sign to say, Michael, you should be knocking off. No, it's a different size one. And that's maybe why that oil seal on the crankshaft was different. So, whoa, I'm just making my list. Let me get that. Okay, let me finish making my list, and then we'll look at something else. Alright, so here I am, a day older but definitely no wiser. While I wait for those bits for the engine to come, we're going to press on with this. This should not take me this long. But I have reached one conclusion, which you may or may not agree with me. I think sort of wheeling is one of those things that needs to be taught. Or shall I say, one of those things that is much easier if it's taught. Because you can read instructions, you can watch videos, but there's no substitute for sort of like here saying, okay, I need this to go that way, and having somebody say, okay, well look, put it in like this, do this, right, try that, and you do it and it'll work. Because you do it by trial and error, and I mean, I've had to flatten this out a couple of times because it doesn't go right. Now you can see it's pretty well curved. In fact, it's got more curve. I can't get it to curve where I want it to. These sides are almost straight and then it curves. And the other thing is, this of course is a straight line all the way down, but it keeps going. You see that? Instead of it staying dead straight and going down there, as I start to get this curve, that curves it. So I've tried beating it just to make that end. And the one thing I will say for the wheel is, you can beat the living daylights out of this and get it all lumpy. 2 minutes in the wheel and it's back to being smooth. So it's worth it just for that. So I don't know. I will press on, but this obviously is incredibly boring to watch. I'll keep bringing you back and showing you little bits, and if I have any eureka moments, I'll show them to you as well. It may be that I've cut this, being over generous in cutting this. I've already cut one strip. I put it on and marked it, and I cut right along there. But I think maybe I've got so much overhang in places that it's causing me problems. Again, it's one of those things which, see, that's starting to come up at this end, but I'm assuming that when it gets bent like that, then that is going to drop and it will match this. Maybe it won't, maybe this will end up in the scrap bin, but we won't know till we try, will we? Alright, so let me put you to one side, and there's no point in you watching me lose my temper. Then I'll have a go at this and then I'll bring you back. We're getting a bit closer. Actually, let me swing you up. You'll probably go out of focus a little bit, but just to show you, I put that in the vise over there. And what I've been doing, probably enough, is I haven't been wheeling or anything. I've been sort of forming this, twisting it, because it struck me it's got a twist in it. And I also realised that I'd sort of tried to make this straight too soon. So I cut a little bit off, it needs straightening up yet. But if I put that against the top one, it's touching all along the bottom. See how close we're getting to here, look. And this is the thing, I sort of think, oh, I'm so close, all I need is to turn this in a little bit. I sort of make that turn in, and then when I go to put it there, the end's stuck out. But anyway, I think we're getting there, so let me press on. Alright, here's exactly what I'm talking about. I bumped this around a little bit, so I had a couple of marks in it. I ran it so lightly with virtually no pressure on the wheels. And look, you remember we were almost, I mean, I was so close. I thought, I'll just take that, smooth that out. And I'm worse than I was. God. I think there must be some things on this that you just can't do on the wheel. And that sort of thing is it. That's probably more planishing hammer. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that delay. I didn't remember that button, that red thing flashing. Okay, I've got it back to where it was. You can't see in here, but it's basically touching the bottom. See, it's very, very close again. I'll tell you one thing, this definitely isn't a sheet metal tutorial, unless you want to take it as a how not to do it. Okay. Oh, let me switch you off. Right, I've been pressing on with a couple of dollies and things, and this touches nicely along the bottom. It needs to be trimmed at the bottom, but as you can see, that's really following that little bit up here to do. So the next thing we've got to do is to get it to curve at the front. Right, well, you definitely need to cut the template closer to the actual size. Right. Bit of a tweak, see, to get that there. Now you see I'm getting this end in, but all this out here is making it really difficult to turn it. So let me press on. Exciting, isn't it? I've been bumping and that. I've got too much. See, I managed to get a great thing of that, but that's not the shape of the tank. See, look, this wants to go down. Down and in. But I think I've put too much in this now. So of course it's made it a very strong shape. I really need it to go oh, come on. From there to there. That wants to go like that, and I put too much of that in it, I think. Alright, I'll do another half hour, then I'm done. Well, I admit it, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I spent about 15 minutes and I was getting closer and closer. I was bringing this bottom edge in to follow that, and everything was good. And then I don't know what I've done, but I'm back right where I was. Alright, the back end's still alright, but I'm miles away at the front. I was getting this to go in. I'm being a little bit too optimistic, I think, making this in one piece with this much curve in it at the front. It doesn't seem to be a lot. I don't know. See, I've got to bring that down, otherwise I'm short here. And you can see there's lots of metal. See, that needs, I've put too much in that. From there it needs to go almost in a straight line to that, and I've put a curve in. So I've been trying to get this out and it just gets worse. Alright, I'll give it a bit longer. Right, we're going to finish off the day by being extremely brave. That is just about right. I've got a little bit more work to do to it, but I've got it round. Everything I think is good, and it seems to be that much too big, so I'm going to cut it off, and as you are my witness, it either will or won't work. Alright, I've got a red light on this battery and it's the only one I've got with me. Let me switch you off while I cut it. Alright, it didn't work out too badly. At least I'm not miles out, I'm not suddenly an inch short. There's enough metal there when I bend that in for that to be right for this side. It's nearly 5 o'clock, so I'm going to knock off for the day. We'll see you tomorrow. Right, I said I'd bring you back if I had a Eureka moment. This is half Eureka, half Michael, you're a moron. Cast your mind back to the very first tank I made for the Otter Triumph and all the trouble I had at the front, and the realization it was because I was trying to make this curve and that curve, and they came sort of to a point instead of being a natural curve. I'm sure it can be done, but just not by me. What should happen is this curve here should go to there, like that, and I'm trying to make it go out there, like that, which is why I am getting this situation here. You see that? I'm trying like mad to get this to do a double shape. If that all just went round like that, then it would be a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is where I'm trying to force that out there, I'm going to cut it so that it just comes up here. What I should do is, when I make the tunnel, I should leave it, not cut it at all. Form this up so that it slots on and then just mark it and cut it. But anyway, next one. Alright. Well, I was looking at this to decide where to mark it, to cut it, because obviously cutting it is not something I want to do lightly, because if I cut too much off then it's scrap. Hang on, lorry. And I thought to myself, you know, that's not far out. Actually, maybe I can do it this way. So I wheeled it a bit more. Made this, look at it. I mean, it's a beautiful shape, but it's completely the wrong shape. I'm miles out again. I don't touch at the top. I've got a gap at the bottom. Sorry people, but I have no bloody idea what I am doing here. I think I'm just going to have to cut this here and make the front parts separately. Cut it there, get this to fit perfectly, make that piece on the other side to get that to fit perfectly, weld that up so I've got this entire back piece in one, and then make up two front pieces. This is so bloody annoying. As I say, look at that. I mean, look at all the movement I've got in that. And yeah, I'm moving it in the wrong direction. Yeah, that's just... See this? That's starting to curve round again. In. That should be straight like that. But if I cut that off, then I don't have enough at the bottom to fit to there. And as I mentioned, now that I've wheeled that so perfectly, this is really strong. I can't just flatten it. It'll put a big dent in, but it won't move that. And it's getting more and more annoying. So I tell you what we're going to do. Let's go make the seat base. Alright, so seat base, saddle base, whatever. Some calming therapy. Alright, so I've made that with sides that go over. I made these two little bits separately. So that's going to go on there like that and like that. Okay. And that lets some air into there. And the water can't get to it, so that's fine. I think that's pretty good. That looks quite nice. Looks good round the other side. Hang on, I'll show you. Let's see, when that's on, it sort of hides the edge of that. That all works in well. Alright, let me cut a piece of alloy sheet and then we'll see if we can bend this in our modified bender. So I think this time we've got enough space between that bend and this bend to be able to do both of them in here. Okay. I still haven't fastened this down. So there's one. So you need to be able to... Oh, hang on. I'll do it that way. I thought I was going to be able to push that through. Okay. Yeah, see that? Just bloody catching. No. What is the use of these bloody things? They never work. I'll have to finish this off. Alright, there's 1 1/2 of one. Well, you still can't really see, but there was enough space in the back here for me to put it in this one and get it all the way. Very good. And the next thing, I'm just working my way around, is to bend these back to there. So that's got to go in there. That. And that gets bent like so. And there's that done. And there they are, both bent like that. So, as always, let's see if I actually made it right. Bend that out a little bit. Alright, that's not so bad, is it? We'll put a little curve on that. Weld them up. Yeah, I might as well make that curve all the way out. And there we go. Alright, lunchtime. Alright, so I've welded the two things up and sorted them all out and given them a little bit of shape and everything. So it looks as if everything went well. So this can't be a Michael Waller video, you're saying? No. I cut the top for this, you know. For those of you who don't know, what I do is I make a piece of this, drill and tap this, and then drill the top of this. And I get this upholstered. It goes on a couple of screws through the bottom. Alright, so I thought, oh, I've just got enough here. So I put that on there. And look. So I'm going to have to make a tiny little patch to go in there. Glue it and screw it or something for the upholsterer. But anyway, usual way to finish the week with an annoyance. Okay, actually I've cut that fractionally large. That'll be alright once it's upholstered, it'll look good. Okay, so that's it for this week, people. Off you go, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.